Hi, this is James Gordon Octorli here with the 11th book in the James Bond series. I'm almost done with the series. I've already started reading the 12th book in the series. You Only Live Twice, so technically I have only 2 books to go and I'm done. But today's book I'll be talking about today are Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is from Triad Panther, and this edition was published in 1977. It was first published by John Ficape on April 1st, 1963. This was a really good spy thriller novel. I really enjoyed this one a lot more than the film with the same name, but I'll explain more about that later on in my review. But I really enjoyed this one. It's good to see Ian Fleming bring back James Bond as the main character, not as a like second main character. James Bond is the main character again, which is a much better improvement over his last novel, The Spy Who Loved Me, a absolute disaster. This book is a lot better. It's a bit slow at the start, but once the main plot gets going, it gets a lot better, and it has some really good action sequences that I really enjoyed in it towards the end, and really good finale, and the ending is dark. Like, this has a really dark ending, and I thought, damn, this is how you do a James Bond novel correctly. Um, there were some things I didn't like with it, but overall, this was definitely a much major improvement over the last book. So overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I highly recommend Her Majesty's Secret Service. And I'll explain more about it, about the film and some other things later in my review. All right, onto the review. Plot: after the events of Thunderball, James Bond spends a whole year trying to track down Ernest Starvo Blofeld, leader of the criminal organization Spectre. However, with no evidence or leads to go on, many believe that Blofeld is dead and Spectre is finished. Frustrated by the lack of support from his agency, along with other problems he's going through, James sends M a letter of resignation telling him he's done working as a spy. James spends the rest of his time repairing his beloved Bentley and travels to France to relax. While playing a game of baccarat, James spots a woman who is losing it at the table. He helps pay off her gambling debt and strikes up a friendly conversation. After revealing his name, she reveals her name as Tracy. The next day, James is relaxing on the beach when he spots Tracy acting strangely. Tracy walks towards the sea as James thinks she's going to commit suicide and goes to rescue her when suddenly a boat appears with 2 men approaching her. James goes to fight off the men, but they overpower him and quickly disarm him, forcing him and Tracy onto the boat. James wonders who these men are and what they want from them, but knows he'll soon find out and has a hidden knife at the ready. They are taken to a harbor with a man waiting for them, but appears to be friendly and not hostile, and Tracy gives a light smile. The man is Mark H. Draco, head of Union Course, the biggest and oldest European crime syndicate. Mark H. invites James into his office and explains a bit of his origins along with his daughter, whose real name is Tessa Teresa de Vincio, but prefers to be called by Tracy. He tells James his daughter has been depressed after the death of her mother 10 years ago and has been traveling across Europe. Mark H. had his men follow her, but she would disappear, then reappear somewhere else. When he got a letter sent by his daughter telling her father she finally met a man she loves but was going to end her life. Mark H. believes James is what his daughter needs, a man in her life, and wants him to marry his daughter and will pay him over £1,000,000. However, James rejects the offer, stating he isn't interested in marrying Tracy, but will keep in contact with her. Mark H. understands, but asks if there's anything he can do for him. James replies that he's searching for the whereabouts of Blofeld and he might be hiding out somewhere in Switzerland, and gives Mark H. his card to contact him if he finds any information on Blofeld. 2 months later, James has returned to MI6 after getting nowhere on his own investigation. James is given another lead. He heads to the College of Arms in London and finds records on Blofeld. His family roots date back to France, and his parents fled to Germany after the French Revolution and changed their name to avoid being arrested. While there, the representative, Sir Harry Bratt, has pulled out a volume of Bond family's tree line, tells him a bit of his family's history, and can inherit a large sum of money, including a street that belonged to his father, and tries to encourage him to continue his legacy. James declines the offer as he's more interested in hunting down Blofeld. While Sir Harry is a bit disappointed, but he gives James the information he wants and learns that Blofeld has changed his name and is trying to become a count and has undergone surgery to change his features and lose weight. James comes up with a plan to capture Blofeld by posing as the representative to then lure him out of the country and bring him back to England to face charges for his Thunderball affair. He tells his plan to M, who's skeptical at first but agrees to it, knowing they don't have much other choice, since Blofeld can easily contact any lawyer in Switzerland along with the politics to ensure he doesn't leave the country. Jason's plan works as Blofeld takes the bait. He takes a plane to Switzerland while wearing similar clothes to Sir Harry Bray. Upon arriving, James is greeted by Irma Blunt, personal secretary to Blofeld. She takes him to a waiting car, then takes him to a cable car that leads to the top of Prizgora, a massive fortress on top of the Alps. He is taken to his room as James dislikes the style and furniture, wishing he could destroy it. Blunt tells James that Blofeld will see him when he's ready, but has guests that he would like him to meet. While unpacking his things, James notices hidden in the ceiling are security cameras. While having dinner, Blunt has James meet several British and Irish women who are acting strangely and are obsessed with certain foods. James finds this odd and notices the guards watching him closely, as he believes they're ex-Smersh members. When James finally sees Blofeld, his new face and body, he looks a lot different. He is much taller now, lost a lot of weight, and has a similar face to Mussolini. They talk for a bit as James fools him he is going to become a count while reading over his family history. However, during dinner, James notices the women are only allowed to eat certain foods, and when he asks if they have any food allergies, Ruby is about to answer him, but Blunt orders her to be quiet. While in his room, James notices his things have been moved around and knows someone has gone through his luggage. While in the middle of his study, Ruby enters his room and asks to talk with him in the bathroom as it's the only room that's safe to talk. Ruby explains where she came from and her allergy to chicken, but the other woman also have food allergies. James tries to sneak past the guards to explore the fortress further, but is unable to, and Blunt refuses to let him leave until Blofeld is done with him. James knows he's up to something nasty. As James begins sneaking around late at night, he begins to uncover what Blofeld's true motives are, and his cover is nearly blown when a spy is discovered and states that Bond isn't Harry Bray. James lies that he doesn't know what he is talking about. Blofeld sends the men downstairs into the sickbay to keep him away from his guests. James knows they'll torture the man till they get the answers they want and fears Blofeld is onto him. James plans his escape, but barely escapes by skiing down the mountains while being chased by members of Spectre as James kills several of them and nearly gets wiped out in an avalanche. James is rescued by Tracy, who helps him recover and flee Switzerland. Knowing he can't take on Blofeld alone, he returns his findings back to M when he goes in a meeting. Despite the strong evidence of Blofeld and his master plan, M is unable to get support to launch an attack on Blofeld's fort. James knows one person who can help them, with the aid of Marco Age, to stop Blofeld's deadly plan, and James decides he'd like to continue his family tree and marry Tracy. However, Blofeld threatens it with an axe. Our Majesty Service was a good thriller, highly detailed with locations, characters, along with good moments of short yet intense action. While a bit slow at the start, however, once it gets to the plot of the story, the pacing begins to pick up. The novel also shows the struggle of James Bond trying to decide if he would rather continue working as a spy or retire and get married while trying to hunt down Blofeld. Really enjoyed the scenery of the beaches in France to the snow-covered mountains in Switzerland, along with the other locations this novel is featured in. And the finale and ending I really enjoyed, as it feels a lot more darker and violent with no humor in it. A very serious James Bond story, and a good cast of characters too within this novel. As for the 1969 film of the same name starring George Lazenby, I didn't like. The pacing was too slow as scenes drag on forever, as it isn't towards the end when the film finally reveals Blofeld's master plan is, as the film could have given the audience some hints earlier on. One part, James Bond is dressed up as Sherlock Holmes, which I really didn't like, and felt this wasn't funny at all, along with trying to make several scenes goofy at times. And when James reveals what Blofeld's plan is, M and the other world readers would rather pay his demands than stop him, which James knows full well that Blofeld will continue with his deadly plan than spare the world of peace. I'm just thankful that George Lazenby never played James Bond again, as he wasn't the right choice. So avoid this film and just stick with the novel. It's a lot better. Overall, I highly recommend on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Ian Fleming really makes up for his disaster with the previous novel and gives his fans what they really want in a spy thriller, as this novel delivers what I want to read in a James Bond novel. And that's a review today. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I like this book a lot better than the last one. This one was definitely a lot better. The Basically, Ian learned his lesson after the disaster with The Spy Who Loved Me, and basically decided for now on that James Bond, to focus on James Bond as the main character, not as a side character, and I'm glad he did that with this novel. The plot, okay, the beginning of the book is a bit slow, but once it gets going, I felt the pacing start to pick up, and it starts to move much faster, and it doesn't really waste any time once it reveals what Blofeld is trying to do, which is a very interesting idea. Basically, biological warfare with germs and diseases and stuff, and but instead of like targeting people, he's targeting like animals to affect the human population stuff, which I thought that is a different plan. I will say I was a bit confused. Like, okay, so these women are gonna spread the virus that's gonna kill off the livestock, but he doesn't really explain that too well. That's my only criticism with the book. I just kind of wish it was explained better in the book. Um, but other than that, I really enjoyed the action sequences where James Bond escapes the fortress by skiing down the mountain while being chased by Blofeld's men, and then Blofeld causes an avalanche to try to kill Bond while killing more of his men in the process. I really like that scene, and then there was a kind of short car chase in the book as well. A lot better than the movie where it does that silly uh, part where the Bond and Tracy get involved in like this race, and they're just like ramming cars off the road. Everyone is just, and yet the race is still going. And then the police get involved, and it's like, okay, there's no way that they would continue this race. They would stop it. Okay, like they would like say hold like they would stop it. It was just goofy because then all these cars are like going around this track and everyone's ramming each other off the road. It was just really silly in the book. In the book, that doesn't happen. Um, while most like Bond girls in the novels I either are okay or I don't care for, Tracy had like a lot of personality that I liked, and I really did feel bad for what happens to her at the end of this book, and I felt she was like one of the more better crafted Bond girls than some of the rest. Um, I will say that I'm glad that the novel features more of Blofeld because he wasn't really featured that much in Thunderball. Like he's very mysterious in the book, and this one he looks a lot different from the last from when he was first featured in Thunderball. But um, interestingly, in Thunderball, James does not meet Blofeld in Thunderball. They don't meet. It isn't until this book when they finally do meet, but Blofeld has changed his appearance. As in the book, James Bond is only going on by pictures of Blofeld that he's been shown and what information he's gathered. That's all he knows about Blofeld. And so this adds to like the more mystery of who Blofeld is. In this book, it does reveal more of Blofeld's origins and stuff, which I did find interesting, along with James Bond's history as well, which I found that interesting too, where he's at the College of Coat of Arms. Yeah, I just overall I really enjoyed this book. It's a bit slower than some of the others, but once it gets to the main plot of the story, it just the action doesn't stop and it keeps going, and that's what I really enjoyed. Oh, and the part I was wondering if it was going to be similar to the film or not was when James Bond reveals to M what Blofeld's plan is, and in the book it's very different than the film. In the book, when James reveals to M what Blofeld's plan is, he calls the world leaders to warn them what Blofeld's master plan is, and they're like, uh, okay, this is what he's gonna do, but where's the proof of this? Like, what is the proof that Blofeld's gonna do this? I'm like, your proof is right here. James Bond has literally just told you what his master plan is. He's got to act. So in this in this case, without the support of the world leaders, M can't do anything. So he relies on James Bond to think of a plan quickly, and which he turns to Mark Angel. So James turns to him, in which he of course uses his connections to help James Bond bring down Blofeld. And this leads to the very dark ending, which I really enjoyed. As in the film, it was really couldn't believe that the world leaders would rather pay Blofeld's demand than try to stop him when James Bond knows full well that even after they pay him, Blofeld's just going to do up his master plan. So this book I definitely liked a lot better. And as for the movie of the same name with George Lazenby, is one of the worst James Bond films ever. It is a complete snooze fest. It is slow, boring, and just very silly. There's like so many things I do not like with this movie, starting with the fact that I do not like George Lazenby. To me, he's the worst choice to play James Bond in any of the actors that played in the later James Bond movies. George Lazenby is the worst. He makes the character feel flat, boring, unlikable, and he doesn't really offer anything to make him more interesting. Like, he doesn't have the charm like Sean Connery did, and this is where the studio thought sex appeal would sell faster and work better than trying to cast someone with as good as like Sean Connery. No, this did not work at all. George Lazenby is an odd choice for Bond. He's not good, and there are several parts I just really cannot get into this character. And there's a scene that I was having a bit of a conversation on the Men's Adventure group where at one point in the film, James Bond is literally dressed up as Sherlock Holmes. Like, he's wearing the exact same outfit as Sherlock Holmes. Like, he's got the hat, the pipe, the long brown overcoat and pants. And like, what the hell is Sherlock Holmes doing in the James Bond film? Like, what is this? This is supposed to be funny? It's not. And apparently someone's trying to explain to me he's dressed up as the coat of arms guy he's supposed to be, disguise himself as. And I thought, he doesn't wear that outfit. He doesn't wear that outfit. He just wears, like, a traditional suit and a hat. That's it. The film, they went over a top with this, and then there's other scenes where it just has George Lazenby just going to, like, a beach, just running around doing nothing. Then he goes to another place and he does hardly anything. Then he goes to another place and he's just talking with people. Nothing happens. This character is boring. And then as I said earlier on my review, there was a point where he's being chased by Blofeld's men, and Tracy is driving this like souped up Mercury, and they get onto a racetrack, and they're just ramming cars off the racetrack, and then the police get involved, and then Blofeld cars get involved, and are ramming each other off the road, and it's completely silly. Just one of the silliest scenes of the movie. And then, of course, in the film, where James Bond tells M what Blofeld's plan is, the Riddler's like, we'll just pay him, then he won't, and he promised he won't do it. And James Bond, of course, knows better. That's not true. But, I absolutely just did not care for Our Majesty's Service film at all. As I said, it's one of the most boringest Bond films ever, and I was really surprised to see so many people liking it. I thought, what the hell do people see in this movie? I don't get it. It's a snooze fest. It's boring. It's one of the worst Bond films ever, and I'm glad George Lazenby did not star James Bond. I'm glad that George Lazenby did not replace the role of James Bond again, because he's a terrible choice for Bond. And what else has this guy been known for? I'll ask you that now. What else has George Lazenby been known for in film? Nothing. I looked up to see what other roles this guy's been in. Hardly any films. He's not really. He's been in a couple. He's been in a couple films here and there, but nothing like big or anything that I know of. So he's an unknown actor for a good reason. He's not, in my opinion, a good actor. He's just trying. Basically, the studios felt they can sell a guy just based off his good looks. Sorry, that doesn't work. You need an actor who can who's good at acting, can play characters, and have a charm with both the audiences and and interact with other characters to make him interesting. George Lazenby doesn't have that. Doesn't have any of that. Yeah, I'm just glad George Lazenby just after that first film was like, okay, I'm not doing this again because I'm not the right choice. Even himself admitted that he wasn't the right choice. So even though this pissed off the studio, but at least because of that, they got Sean Connery back to do a really good James Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever, which is a really good film. Yeah, as for the film of Our Majesty's Secret Service, don't bother with it. It's terrible. Just stick with the book instead. Alright, that's the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. And I have already begun reading the 12th book in the James Bond series, You'll Only Live Twice. I've already gotten started on this, and let me say right now, this book is off to a damn good start. Definitely a lot better than the shitty film, which I'll explain more on my review, as me and my father have dubbed this James Bond film, as you won't see this twice, but I'll explain more about that in my review. Alright, if you enjoyed this review, please like it, share it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group with the same name, a place to watch a review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.